Thank you so much for joining us here today as we celebrate the life and memory of Brian Klem. Before we get started, Diane and Joe just asked us to thank each and every one of you for being here. They absolutely love each and every single one of you, and they know that Brian deeply, deeply loved every single one of you. And so at this time, we come here to lay to rest our dear and beloved Brian Klem. It is with heavy hearts that we share the unexpected passing of Brian Klem, who left us on October 13th, 2024, at the age of 43, leaving a void that can never be filled. Brian was larger than life, full of humor, warmth, love for adventure, and caring for others. Born on January 20th, 1981, Brian was a bright light in our lives. He graduated from high school from Steamboat Springs Ski Academy in Colorado. How cool is that? Attended the University of Colorado Boulder and graduated from Brooklyn College, New York City in 2006. His infectious smile and kind heart touched everyone he met. Brian was a great conversationalist and storyteller. He had a passion for music, often expressing himself through his guitar and lyric writing, and he loved sharing his musical creativity with friends and family. The bonds he formed with his Forlorn United bandmates and fellow musicians were of great importance to Brian. Brian was known for his contagious laughter and his ability to light up any room. He loved biking around San Francisco and LA, skiing Steamboat Mountain and around the world, writing and making music in Brooklyn, motorcycling with his cousin Nick, and going to punk shows with his closest friend Matt. He lived life to the fullest, and he surrounded himself with others who did the same. Brian is survived by his mother, Diane and Vincenzo, his father, Joe and Marie, siblings Randy, Danielle, Jackie, Joey, Cody, Andrea, Petro, Luca, Alexandra, nieces and nephews Gage, Kennedy, Ari, Ainsley, Augie, Leland, and Aniston, aunts and uncles Skip, Claudia, Lori, Rich, Linda, and Tammy, and cousins Tammy, Jessica, Alicia, Roberta, Nathan, Neil, Zach, Nick, Lisa, Samantha, Bradley, Michael, Jeremy, and Kristen, and many second cousins who cherished him dearly. He was preceded in death by his grandparents Frank and Florence, and Joseph and Victoria, and his uncles Marty, Sam, Michael, and Aunt Kathy. He was a loyal friend, loving brother and uncle, and son who brought joy and laughter into our lives. Rest easy, Brian. You will be missed more than words can say. Now, since Brian was even just a little baby, he was loved and adored by all. Brian was the sweetest baby and toddler, Diane said to me. And he was adored by both sides of his family, his maternal and paternal family. As Brian grew up, he loved all kinds of activities, from soccer to baseball. Joe was telling me that Brian and Randy even got to play on the same baseball team sometimes, which is pretty cool to have those memories together. Just what a sweet, awesome time to have as kids growing up. Brian also loved hanging out at his grandma's pool and absolutely loved taking road trips all around the country and all around the world. In fact, Diane said that one of his favorite memories growing up was when they took a big, huge summer road trip all across the country, not just the U.S., but Canada as well. Starting in Cleveland, headed out towards Chicago, St. Louis, then down to Vegas, over to San Diego, and then all the way up Highway 1 into Western Canada. And then from there, they took a train ride all the way from Western Canada all the way to Edmonton, when he finally had to hop back on a plane so he could get back to school in time. Brian's love for travel continued with him throughout the years, which led him to enjoy traveling all around the world. In fact, one of the things that got to take him all around the world to many different places was his love and passion for skiing. When Brian was just under 3 years old, that's amazing to me, Joe and Diane took him skiing for the very first time. All right, this would go on to be a deep passion and love of his, which would lead him to traveling all around the world, from skiing all over the eastern U.S., and then over to the Rockies, the Sierra Nevada, eventually going to a camp in British Columbia for skiing, and then graduated from the Whiteman Ski Academy. He competed on the Olympic level and did off-season training at the Steamboat Springs team in New Zealand. Wow, that's amazing. After that, Brian finally hung up his skis and settled down in New York City for about 15 years. While in New York City, I know Brian did lots of different jobs, and one of them that I know he loved deeply was writing for just reviews and descriptions for all kinds of music and tech equipment, so people knew what was the best stuff out there to buy. While doing that, he also ran his own recording studio with a friend in New York City, which is really incredible. In fact, a friend of mine and I even went out to New York to get Brian invited us out, and we went out there just to spend a week with him, where he toured us all around the city, showed us all the best places to go hang out, all the non-touristy places, all the stuff we really wanted to see. Where we got to go then check out his recording studio, and he'd tell us about some of the people he got to record with and help make music, and it's just really incredible time to get to spend together. So he did that and also wrote reviews for music equipment and all kinds of other tech equipment as well. And so Brian, not only did Brian love New York, he also met many of his loves in New York. In fact, Diane said a lot of his girlfriends were from Brooklyn, and so he loved his Brooklyn girls, Diane said. After moving away from New York, he traveled out to San Francisco, where he spent a good bit of time there, and then eventually down to LA for a little while, where both those places he loved to ride bikes and hang out and just take in all the scenery around there. After that, he moved back to Ohio, where he then reconnected with his friends and bandmates from Forlorn United. And then after that, Brian and his friend, and then along with that, Brian and his friend Matt would go all over the country, going to punk shows and ska and oi festivals all around the country, which they absolutely loved. But the thing about Brian is he never did anything halfway. He was all in on everything he did. And that's why there's so many people here coming together to join and celebrate his life and his memory and his legacy. So at this time, I'd like to open up the mic to some of his friends and families who might want to pop up and say a few memories or favorite just attributes that you loved about Brian that made him special to you.
My name's Melissa, and I can coincide with the story of how he loves to travel, because when I met Klem, he was kind of I met him as Matt's best friend, and then the next time I saw Klem, he was crashing my wedding. And I had a destination wedding that was in Aruba, and my best friend Chrissy called me up and she said, hey, Matt doesn't have a +1, can Klem come to the wedding? So I was like, sure, we'll make room for him. And he came, and we had a beautiful week. We spent a whole week there. But at the end of the trip, Chrissy said, well, Klem's ticket's not for a couple days home. Can he stay with you? So I also spent my honeymoon with Klem. My first dinner, and I just thought that was something special to share. And I know that a lot of you have stories to share. I didn't want to be the first one up, but now that the floor is open, you guys come up and share your Klem stories. I'm sure his mother would love to hear.
Hi everybody. My name's Brian. Most of you probably know me as Grosh. I've been Klem's friend since elementary school. I've been thinking about it, for the last week and a half, trying to pinpoint when our friendship began. But I'm at a loss for words. I played in Forlorn United with him. We used to play roller hockey together in the street, playing the tennis bars, kicking the tennis bars' butts. And then, he would, Diane was saying, I'd hate to dishonor his memory by talking about him rollerblading, but he was a heck of a rollerblader. he didn't want anyone to know. But I guess what I've reflected on and come to realize over the last week and a half is how many adventures Brian had, and how many adventures that I got to go on just because he was like, dude, we're doing this, let's go. Dude, you're doing that rail, let's go. Bam, concussion. But he wasn't afraid to go on adventures. He was all over the world. It was roller or motorcycling across Europe and skiing all over the world, and he just charged headfirst into everything. And he had so much to give, and I think that's why it's such a tragedy. Because I think about all the adventures that he would have had, and it's a shame. But I know I'm never gonna forget him, and I know none of us will ever forget him. And think he's gonna live on in all of our memories and songs, and the videos. I mean, he was such an artistic guy at heart. He was always editing all of our stupid high school videos that we made, and he was like the creative driver behind all of it. And I don't have any words to express how much I'm gonna miss him, but he was a hell of a guy, and I love you, Klem.
I'm not in the right place for this. My name's Matt. Klem was my best friend. Even in what was his last week, we spent the Monday together. He came over about 10 at night. I was there till 2 in the morning, which wasn't atypical for us. The very next day, Tuesday, I hoped he had come over, but there was a chance the Northern Lights were going to come out, which is like a bucket list thing for him. So I went down to his apartment on the water, and we searched for the Northern Lights. He was able to see them a couple of days later, which I know is important to him. And then we were together all of Saturday night. So, 3 times a week for 2 guys in our 40s. I'm so grateful for that. To be able to share everything with him. And I guess I moved to say that we found and created excitement where there wasn't any. So when he first came back to Cleveland, I was excited. Here's my best friend. He's home. So I wanted to take him to my favorite restaurant. So he gets in the car. We get there. To the uneducated, it looks like a gas station. It's called Sheets. It's my favorite restaurant. We pull in and he's like, "Oh, do we need to get gas?" I said, "No, we're here. It's a Michelin 6-star restaurant. It's Sheets." And he loved it. Made to order, exactly what you want, cheap. Couldn't ask for anything more, Sheets. Now that's to say, we would get, anytime we'd bring it up, we'd get so excited about it. And it is a gas station. I shared with Diane, I just was talking to Heather in the back. We would get excited about Adidas Sambas. It's a stupid pair of shoes. Who cares? But we cared. That's what I'm struggling with. Because now a pair of shoes is just a pair of shoes again. But it can be so much more. And I think that's what he would want us to carry forward. Like, find something that excites you. And it doesn't matter how stupid it is. It could be a shirt, it could be a song, it could be a movie, it could be a food. And just share that with someone and pour yourself into that and make something out of that. Life could be mundane, but it has to be more than work. It has to be more than just another day, So whether it's getting excited about a gas station or getting excited about a pair of shoes, share that with somebody, get excited about something, bring that into the world. It can't just be a gas station, it could be so much more. It can't just be shoes, it could be so much more. Anything could be so meaningful, and he understood that. Anytime he came into any situation, it was better. And I'm sure we all know that. No one ever said, "Oh no, Klem is here." It was, yes. Like, he's gonna laugh at my jokes, he's gonna smile at what I say, he's just gonna be everyone's biggest cheerleader. And I can't even say we shared a once-in-a-lifetime type connection, because it wasn't. I don't think most people get the chance to share something like that. So I'm fully aware that I will never experience something like that again. And I'm forever grateful for it. And I shared that with him many times, and I love him, and I miss him. And his spirit lives on in all of us. And the only thing that I can find any peace in is that I will carry that spirit forward, and he made such an impact on my life. And, he's with me forever, and now I'll live for 2. So I love you, Klem.
Of the guys here, we all graduated together. 22 years ago, we also lost a classmate who was very close to me that I was also with the night that he passed away. So I unfortunately know the feeling that Matt is going through right now. And I remember at his funeral, we had an opportunity to get up and share a story about, Brett. And I remember thinking, like, oh my God, I can't get up there and do that. I don't know what I'm going to say. And I was just like super nervous, and I felt like I wasn't in the right place to say it either. And I regret that. So that's why I'm here now. So for Matt and the guys and everybody who cherished Brian so much, you never stop thinking about them. You never stop seeing something that makes you think of them. You never stop crying over things. It's been 22 years, for me. My kids know about Brett and what he meant to me, and you just continue to share these stories and these experiences. And Matt, a pair of shoes is never just a pair of shoes. So this afternoon, I was rushing home from work and I was changing, and I looked in my closet and I'm like, okay, what shoes am I going to wear? I knew that maybe it would be standing in grass, and literally like my Adidas Sambas were sitting right there. I'm like, I can't wear any other shoes except for my Adidas Sambas. So it's funny because a lot of the pictures that you guys would see or videos that you would always see, like, Brian had some pretty good shoe game, and I can always appreciate anybody who's got a good shoe game. So I wore these for Brian, and it's just, like you said, it's things like that you're always going to think of somebody like that his mom's trying to see, and they're orange. But I will say, I graduated with Brian. I went to grade school and everything, and I remember on my bus route in elementary school, we went down a street that I believe his grandma lived on, and he must have been staying at his grandma's house that day because he was on my bus that morning, and I was like, had the biggest crush on him, and it was the best day that he was on my bus because he was at his grandma's house. And I just remember thinking and hoping and praying that maybe he's going to stay at his grandma's house again, or maybe he would be on my bus ride again. But I don't really remember him any other times being on that bus ride except for that one particular day. Now I have two kids. I live in Brecksville. I live kind of around the corner from his mom on the street that connects Sunnydale and Vera. And who are these like grown men on mopeds or dirt bikes or something? I don't even know what the heck they are, but it's not a motorcycle. And they were just whipping around our street. And, then come to find out, like, I watched Brian's story later on Instagram. I'm like, oh my God, of course, it's Klem. So like there's been a couple times, like I think I was out running one time and he passed and I yelled his name and his cousin stopped and we talked for a quick minute, but we shared a lot of really random lengthy messages through Instagram, and if his mom, gets the phone back and kind of go through it, a lot of really random silly things about everything. He was going to come and look at my front door and maybe give me a new front door, or he was really sick one night for a few days and he wanted to have a party for the air show, and so a lot of stuff. I regret, we were going to hang out, we were going to go on hikes, we were going to do all this stuff, and life gets in the way, and I regret not making these plans and actually doing it, because like Matt said, nobody ever said oh, darn it, Klem's here. The kid was fun. He looked like he was having a hell of a time everywhere he went. So I know he's going to be missed by a lot, but and for all these guys here, that lost a brother, it gets easier, and you will find something in almost every single day of your life that is going to remind you of him, and it might bring tears, but it might bring a smile. So I've been thinking about all of you guys, and I'm just here, because they meant a lot to me too. Thank you.
And so I know that many family members, caretakers, teachers, coaches, girlfriends, and loved ones, all of which would say what some of you said is, nobody says, oh crap, Klem's here. Everybody was always excited when he showed up. Everybody was always excited when he was in the room, because they knew that they'd have fun, that they'd have joy, and that they would be creating memories together that would last a lifetime. As Diana said, the man he became was decent, loving, lovable, and we're never going to stop missing him.